Alrighty, I have. I have several aliens growing out of my desk right now. It's really weird. Okay. So I have the sound thing and the phone thing and just stuff. I've been working on writing something for a little while because while doing the research for some videos I have, yeah, echoes. Nice, huh? While doing the research for several videos, I came across other content creators who were making excuses for abusers and offenders. Some of these people were women, and that absolutely shocked me. And then I realized that internalized misogyny is a thing. Internalized sexism is a thing, right? So, all right. Words have power. The things we say, the things we say about people have power, right? That's why I wrote this. I'm going to do a trigger warning right here. I'm not going to go into great detail about these offenders that I will be talking about. But if you're a rape apologist, you're probably going to be butthurt over this video because I have some things to say to you. Just for background, I'm an ex-sheriff's deputy, victims advocate, have been for quite a while. And facts don't give a shit about your feelings or your beliefs or your thoughts, what you think you know. Just bear that in mind. Okay. This is an open letter to rape apologists. Larry Nassar, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Brock Turner, Reynard Sinega, I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right, R. Kelly, Marilyn Manson, real name Brian Warner, Bill Cosby, the wannabe rock star Davi Vanity, T.I. and his wife Tiny, Donald Trump. I can go on with this list all day long. It just doesn't seem to end. What do each of these people have in common? They are all SAers. Some have been convicted. One died in jail awaiting his day in court. Brock Turner was convicted for one SA and given a slap on the wrist. The others are allegedly SAers with extensive histories of torturing women, children, and men. Reynard Sinega was estimated to have SA'd approximately 250 men. He recorded many of his offenses. Many of his victims, all gay men apparently, have not been identified. Did you hear about this in the news? One other thing that these cases have in common is victim blaming and victim shaming. Each time victims, survivors come forward, the rape apologists crawl their way up out of the nearest garbage heap. Yes, I did say that, and no, I'm not sorry. Stories are just stories. There is no evidence. Why didn't she come forward right after it happened? Where is the proof? these things start being said and so much more. Another thing that will invariably be said if the offender is wealthy is that the victim just wants a paycheck. They're just doing it for the money. They just want the attention. They just want 15 minutes of fame. They just want to get famous, etc. They say these things as if they are breaking the universe with their cold, hard logic, but really, they're just showing every single little bit of their uneducated stupidity to the entire world. Good job. Obviously, you do not understand what fight, flight, panic, and freeze are, or how humans can and do respond to traumatic situations. Obviously, you do not understand the fear that a victim of DV or violent SA crimes can and will go through. Obviously, you don't understand what power dynamics are and the effects that can have on a potential victim and on a survivor. Here's a novel idea. You could educate yourself about instinct and how it affects people in stressful and traumatic situations. You could also investigate and fucking educate yourself on a long list of things related to this subject. Begin with grooming, data mining, the entirety of how DV relationships typically evolve. Pay special attention, close attention, to manipulation and gaslighting. You rape apologists have not been abused yet, some of you say. But you have a friend who was. And you do know that there is real rape. I bet you also have a black friend, so you know all about racism. You have not been abused. Many of you women who are SA apologists will say that. I'm so very happy for you. I'm not being trite. I really am happy you have not experienced abuse, but maybe, just maybe, you're being willfully ignorant. And you, as a woman, maybe even as a man, are a rape apologist. Even if you don't want to admit it, even if you don't want to face the truth of yourself, especially if you're a woman saying these things, shame on you. You are shameful. You say there should be a presumption of innocence, as if there hasn't been one for decades for Brian Warner, better known as Marilyn Manson, and Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby. How long? For how long were they victimizing people? Larry Nassar, David Vanity. And these are just a few. All of these people each have victims into the hundreds. At what point does it become painfully obvious, even to the willfully ignorant like yourself, that there is in fact a problem? You point out that victims are coming together, and it seems to be a coordinated effort to take down Brian Warner. That was also said about Bill Cosby and all the others. This was said for all of the others when many of their victims came forward. This is part of the rape apologist pre-written script. Can a supposedly logical person really be this dense? Yes. Apparently you rape apologists can be. Have you noticed that the only way victims of SA and DV ever really see any semblance of justice is by any measure, is if they all, or as many of them as possible, come forward and speak the truth to the general public. And if that creates enough public outcry, then maybe something will happen. You try to discredit witnesses and victims and anyone who stands by the victims, but in reality, You're just showing everyone that you know absolutely nothing about the subject matter you're dealing with, and you're out of your depth. Here's an idea. Go through the training and work as a victim's advocate for 1 year. Come back to us when you're done. If you feel the same way after holding the hand of countless victims as they lay in a hospital bed getting their rape kit taken and their examination done, then you can come back and speak to what is and what is not real abuse or real rape. And proof? I worked in criminal courts. I saw countless SA cases with mountains of evidence, proof, if you will, that the victims were in fact horribly abused. More often than not, the defendant got off with what amounted to a slap on the wrist, if their case made it to trial. Because SA is the one crime that is not really treated as a crime in criminal courts or in the criminal justice field in general. That is the norm. That is the standard. Are you aware of the rape kit backlog? That in some jurisdictions, rape kits are destroyed after 6 months? Or maybe a year? That in some jurisdictions, the victim is forced to pay for their examination and the testing of the rape kit themselves, which means that a woman with less resources, and now in need of trauma therapy, which is expensive, is also going to have a huge medical bill and a bill for the evidence testing if she wants to hold her abuser accountable. So imagine if you are capable, that you are poor, you have just been through one of the most horrible experiences possible, and you now have a mountain of debt, and of course, people are going to judge you for what someone else chose to do to you. Somehow it will be your fault, and all the things people will say. My God, the things people will say. Each one attack being jabbed under a fingernail. How could they not have known? Just look at him. But you were friends with him before, so... But I mean, he's a rock star. What did you expect? But the casting couch, that's what you should have expected. But what were you wearing? Did you say no? Did you say stop? Did you fight back? Miss Esme, an alleged survivor of Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, in fact was defrauded. But not for money, you driveling idiots. Brian Warner wore a mask, the mask of a subversive artist and a very good prospect for a boyfriend material, but everything he did and said was meant to ingratiate himself to her. He groomed her. He wore a mask. He tested the waters in a variety of ways to see how far he could push her, all while presenting her with a veneer of being a good boyfriend, wild but respectful. That mask is typical of clean-cut jocks and so-called nerdy nice guys, and the bad boy rebel alike. Brian Warner is the typical garden-variety toxic abuser. He is standard and common and boring. Yes, he is textbook, and his abuse was textbook. Also, a woman can be into kink and not be into being abused. You unquantifiably repugnant twat waffles. And I hate that last word. But here we are. This bit is for women SA apologists. One in particular. Miss SMA and many other survivors had slutty pictures. She must have been asking for it. Right? No. How very droll. Yes, you, SA apologists, are slut shamers. Congratulations. Here's your sign. Do you feel special now? Will your friends pat you on the back and congratulate you for being their one token woman who says that the men rape apologists want to hear of how evil women are? You're not like the other girls now. Do you receive a get out of SA card with that? Does that afford you some kind of armor against being raped? If someone is trying to rape you, can you bust out your card and say, but wait, not all men? And avoid being abused? Brian Warner, Davi Vanity, and others traveled extensively, and countless fans who would have loved to have had a conversation with him. Many of those fans were young girls and young women. These offenders had endless potential supply of victims all over the world. Isn't it interesting that I can talk about several different offenders at the same time, and what I'm saying applies to all of them? Just an FYI, consenting to make a video does not mean that SMA consented to being whipped and tortured. BDSM does not mean that an abuser can do whatever they wish, whenever they wish, at any time. Also, being starved, sleep-deprived, beaten, drugged, and then forced to consent, or not even asked for consent, that does not mean that consent by torture was real. Let me break that down for you further, because I think you will have a distinctly hard time understanding what I'm saying, because you are dead set in your rape apology. Tormenting someone to get consent does not absolve the abuser from being, in fact, abusive. Yet again, I'm talking about several people at the same time. Did you investigate the things that Brian Warner has actually admitted to doing? Abusing his mother, friends, staff, fans, and on and on and on. You're backing exactly the wrong horse, and that is a distinctly odd hill to die on, but there you are, showing everyone all of your incandescent repugnance. It is interesting that your beliefs, what you believe, what you think, without proof, in your mind, that trumps the actual statements of the victims who experienced the abuse. Abusers don't always abuse the same types of people. Sometimes they will abuse people outside of their normal interests. Sometimes they will abuse some people and not others. Abusers don't usually abuse every single person they interact with. And they usually don't abuse people they are afraid of, or who they view as being potentially capable of defending themselves. You laugh and you joke and you poke fun, and you are a monumental ass. You're not actually thinking critically, though you say you are. You're too uneducated on the subject to actually know what you're talking about. A violet wand can be a torture device. If it is turned up all the way and or used improperly, or a person just simply doesn't like them. But you rape apologists. You know all. You just want to discredit the victims. The power imbalance that is evident in the situation between Warner and Miss Esme and Miss Woods, and so many more. That means nothing to you. How victims react to trauma also means nothing to you. Do you know about trauma bonding? Here are some of the things that some of you say. That's, well, if it's legitimate abuse. Absence of evidence. Innocent until proven guilty. But he looks so weird. What did they expect? Buyer's remorse. She's just vengeful. She's just nuts. She's just a slut. This is standard SA apologist feces. How about this? If he did not receive fully informed consent, that means, just to break it down for you dumbasses, if he didn't tell her exactly what was going to happen and she didn't understand what exactly was going to happen, so she could decide for herself if she was into doing that or not, then she did not give full consent. I watched some of y'all's videos. I cannot watch any more of your fantastically disgusting videos or tolerate any more of your ignorant comments because you are utterly lacking in any awareness or education on the fact that what you're saying and what you're talking about and what you're hearing about is in fact a description of trauma and abuse. You could look up trauma bonding, but you probably won't because it won't fit in with your narrative of all the mean women are banding together and going after the innocent man. Poor men have it so hard with all this Me Too meanness. It's just meanly meanness. The Me Too stuff. Oh, poor men. Cry me a fucking river of tears. Straight from your cold, dead hearts. I'll pour gasoline on it, light it on fire, and laugh directly into your faces. If you're brave, go ask a group of victims advocates how many of their victims had their rape kit tested, or if those victims have even been told if it has been tested or not, because usually they're not given the status of their test, or if their case is actually being investigated or not. Ask those advocates how many of their victims' cases made it to trial. How many made it to conviction? How many were too terrified to face their abuser in court? How many were so traumatized that they could barely walk or open their mouths without feeling like they were going to vomit and had to have the court deputy help them? Hi. That's where I stopped typing because I got angry. I'm reading an open letter to rape apologists. I don't ever want to hear the term buyer's remorse ever again. I don't care who it comes from. You have to be a special kind of stupid to think that using those terms is acceptable when abusers typically will try everything they can to write the narrative of what happened, to somehow, some way, get out of being punished for their bad behavior. And the whole buyer's remorse thing is part of that. Abusers will use that term and she's just a slut. She's just nuts. She acted like she wanted it. Blah, 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 blah. They'll use those terms purposefully to worm their way out of being abused for their bad behavior. Words have power. This is probably going to end up being like a playlist, a thing that I'm going to revisit and continue talking about. Because it goes in with the headlines that I'm seeing when women are talked about when they're victimized, and children, and men, and elderly people, you know? We need to rethink how we talk about people who have been victimized, either SA or murder, domestic violence, etc. As a culture, we need to start rethinking how we talk about victims and survivors. We need to stop glorifying serial killers. Richard Ramirez is not gorgeous. Ted Bundy was a scumbag. There was nothing gorgeous about that dude. So, there will be more videos along this vein, and I'll be diving into actual facts. Statistics. Facts don't care about your feelings. That's what one rape apologist said. That is true. That is true. Facts don't care about your feelings, or your thoughts, or your beliefs. Statistically speaking, The stats are not in your favor, rape apologists. Oh, it was hard to keep that going because I've been that deputy in that courtroom, man. It's hard. I've been in the hospital room holding someone's hand while their rape kit is being done. Yep. Well, I'm glad you're not using that term anymore because I'm not kidding when I say I'll cut a motherfucker out of my life for saying that. I'm a survivor. I'm a rape survivor. I am a rape survivor, and I don't ever want to hear that term because it just downplays and belittles everything that a survivor lives through and then lives with after the fact. So every time you say that, every time anyone says that, I can guarantee you a survivor hears you saying that and we think, the fuck is wrong with you? Are you actively trying to hurt me or what? Desensitized. God. Yeah, I get that, but like, I think maybe it's time to resensitize people. If that's even a term, I don't know if that's a term. So yeah, I've been putting off doing this particular stream for a minute, but some of these rape apologists, my good, they try to couch everything in, well, but I'm not emotional about it, and all the people who are talking out, speaking out about this are so emotional, and this and that, and blah 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 blah. We're emotional about it for a reason. First, second, you can be emotional about something and still be correct in what you're saying. Third, statistics. There are statistics. These things that show what the actual reality is. Like rape apologists, they rely on so-called statistics that I can't seem to find anywhere. I'm doing this research. The only reason I didn't bring up statistics is because I'm trying to find what they're quoting and I can't. So people generally don't care about what happened to others till it happens to them or someone close to them. Well, I think part of the reason that being emotional is looked down on as irrationality, it weaponizes emotion, right? It makes it easier for abusers to continue abusing. And it makes it easier for, people like rape apologists to swoop in and say, what, you're emotional? Oh my God, you're hysterical. You're irrational. Yeah, exactly. It is a tool, Leanne. Yep. But there's nothing wrong with being emotional about something that is so systemic. And it's not just a thing that affects women. It is also a thing that affects men and children. The stats I'm looking at, they don't just go into women who are dealing with this. They also go into men, little girls, little boys, transgendered people, so on and so forth. Although, proportionally speaking, more women have to deal with it. Yep. So it's a thing that is affecting way too many people in this country for this rape apologist bullshit to continue. I think that we need to start calling out rape apologists, all of them, across the board, and hold them accountable. Like the one woman kept going on and on about how she'd never been raped or abused or any of that, but she had a friend who was. And all I kept thinking, I was like, do you also have a black friend? Are you special? Because what? Like, do you know all about racism? You know what it's like to be... like, I felt like I needed to borrow some extra hands to do like a multiple face palm. Yeah, but I'm also 6 years old, Jesus. Captain, I don't know, I mean, from that name, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, or trans, or non-binary. I'm not trying to leave anyone out, but, 6 years old, that's awfully young. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that maybe you identify as male. Yeah, RAIN is, one of the sources I use for stats, but also the CDC, and there's, a bunch of places out there. They. Okay, right on. Sometimes I wonder, I go back and forth between male, man and woman. Sometimes I'm both. But yeah. At least we have not had any trolls here. That's good. That's a breath of fresh air. So if anyone watches the replay and, wow. I mean, for that, especially, from a parent, therapy. Lots of therapy. And that's another thing. We need to stop, talking about therapy as if it's some sort of taboo. Oh my God, going to therapy. Therapy is an awesome thing. Therapy has helped me so much. Yeah, I do too, Leanne. That's part of the reason I'm doing this, is because, this whole channel is about speaking about how we talk about victims and survivors and, women who are killed in domestic violence, etc. It's, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for Addie. I'm doing this for Jessica, all of them. And I have not forgotten about the video we have to make theater event. There's just been a lot going on. Mommy problems get pretty ignored. Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah, see, that's not less masculine. I think it is more masculine, if you want to call it that. It's human. There's nothing wrong with a man being a fucking human. There's nothing wrong with a woman being human either. And guess what? Humans have emotions. That's part of being human. And after a human has been traumatized, you have every right to be emotional. So, yeah, I don't agree with that, with the whole prison rape thing either. And that's part of the, the way our prison, correctional officer, I'm a certified correctional officer. I don't think that certification goes away. I don't know, I have to look, but, the way American prison systems are, there really is no rehabilitation going on at this point, I don't think. Especially with privatized prisons. I have to do a stream about that. That's a whole thing that we should not want. Privatized prisons. Because it gets worse. And then people come out of prison when they do, if they do, more traumatized than they were when they went in. And then they're more likely to commit even worse crimes. I don't know if that makes sense, but exactly, it is. Yes, it is a criminal factory. Yes. There are many reasons why I quit the sheriff's department. But yeah. So if any people watch this on the replay and decide to jump on your bitching and moaning and whining, I mean, I'm not sorry for anything I said. That's another thing. I wish women would stop saying sorry for everything all the time. How do I keep myself from burnout? Yoga, meditation, long hot showers, goofing off with Marcus and baby girl. Self-care. Makeup helps too, oddly enough. Oh, Jesus. Wow. Well, hopefully, you're okay, Captain. Hopefully that didn't turn bad. Because, I mean, not always, but oftentimes when men are traumatized, especially in prison, we tell men in the society that men have very few options to deal with any internal trauma they've dealt with. Violence is one of them. Anger is another, It's like we put so many limitations on men and then act all butthurt when they lash out violently. But if a man is dealing with trauma like that, then it's that man's responsibility, that person, any man, woman, doesn't matter. Their responsibility to try to fix themselves, right? I don't know. Yeah, I've been there. With the whole, I disintegrate without the support of the people I care about. Yeah, I get that. I got a little freaked out, but his story was important for someone to hear. He jumped over a counter at McDonald's and stabbed a guy who was, oh, see, on that one, I don't know if he should have even went to prison. I really don't, because I don't know. I mean, if you are acting in such a way as to protect a child, that's one thing. If you're going to a bunch of spas and shooting Asian women, that's a whole different subject. Yeah, I hear you, Leanne. That's a good point. I mean, that's why I'm on here I hope that more men see this and maybe have, what in the South, what we call a come to Jesus, have a moment of thinking, maybe. That would be cool. But I also want to create a safe space for women and, survivors in general to be able to come here. Queer people, I got to have a space for my queer family, and then indigenous people, etc. Yeah. Oh, for my children, in a heartbeat, dude, in a heartbeat. Because how often do you see any of these child, offenders against children actually get any real jail time? How often? Not very often. That is how you come up with vigilantes, when there is an imbalance of justice for victims and their families. Yeah. Yeah, I actually read a really good paper about the effects of trauma on the brain. It was, I don't know if I have it saved on my laptop. If it's saved on my laptop, I may not be able to find it, but it was a really good paper. It's really interesting. But you can also, there are certain kinds of therapy that can help to like kind of reprogram your brain. I forget the name of the one thing that seemed to do pretty well. And then also, they were talking, there was another paper about microdosing LSD or no, it wasn't. It was mushrooms to help with the healing process and all of that. Like tapping. What is tapping? I don't know what that is. I mean, okay, you want to know why they weren't in prison? Probably because the prison is full of people who smoked weed. I mean, the war on drugs, the priority became the drug offenses, and the offenders who were targeting children, they're just, You cannot rehabilitate people who predators who go after children. You can't. They should be in prison. Period. And that is part of the reason I'm not in the sheriff's department anymore. Because I was just like, fuck all this shit. This is some bullshit. Whatever. What are our priorities as a civilization? Are we even civilized? That is my question. Emotional re-regulation. There's a kind of therapy. I forget the name of it. I'll have to look it up. I don't remember it right now. But 1 million non-violent offenders were set free in Florida. Hopefully, it's all the weed smokers and not, the war on minorities, hippies, poor people, Hispanic, Latino people, indigenous people, anyone who's not white, and rich. Pretty much, yeah. Yep. There should be a special insane prison for them committed for life. Yes, there should be. And it should just be like a Thunderdome thing. You just throw them in there, let them figure their shit out. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of biased. I have zero sympathy for child abusers at all, whatsoever. None. It's one of the, really, it's one of the only offenses where I believe maybe capital punishment might be good for them. Like Larry Nassar. Fuck that dude. Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. I can't have sympathy for people who purposefully target children. I just can't. And the people, like rape apologists who, Bill Cosby, how many underage girls did he harm? Anyone who defends people like that, just like, you're not even worthy of breathing my air. Just, no. So, yeah. Alrighty. Kind of glad I got that done with. I knew that was going to be a hard one, but it's kind of setting up. And there are certain things I wanted to get out of the way before I did some of these other videos coming up. I'm not sure what we should do with people like that. I'm against the death sentence, but I question my beliefs for people like that. Me too. Because I know how easy it is look at the West Memphis 3 case. That is questionable from beginning to end. Like there's a lot wrong with that case. I may actually do a video about that. But I mean, when you have, someone, well, with Brock Turner, okay, two dudes walked up and saw what he was doing, and they were so traumatized by it, they had to go to therapy along with the victim. like, like it fucked them up too, right? And then his sentence was what? Nothing. It was nothing, you know. But he's blonde, blue-eyed white boy from a middle class family, so and he's a swimmer. Yeah, but there's probably going to be people, who come at me for this live stream. But I'm past the point of caring. I do not give a fuck anymore. I don't have a single fuck left to give for rape apologists. I don't. After the whole Marilyn Manson thing, they were saying the same things they said about Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby and all these other offenders. And I'm like, it's a script. It's the same. They're regurgitating the same shit. And there are how many victims coming forward? Really? Because it's pretty rare for an innocent person to have an allegation against them like this, let alone like 100. I'm just saying. I mean, yes, I hope I hope Brock Turner experiences it during his life and after his life. Do you know what I'm saying? He deserves nothing but sorrow. I know of several groups of witches and just throughout the pagan world who cursed that boy. So yeah, I think with a lot of these rape apologists and whatnot, I think a lot of them have some serious skeletons in their closet. And there's this one woman who apparently has a huge following. Apparently she hates women. She hates herself. And she's special. I mean, she's the token woman who spews all the rape apologist shit. So I hope she never is raped or anything because, I don't know what she would expect if that happens to her. Do you know what I mean? I mean, she's all about victim shaming, slut shaming, victim blaming. It's just all the same old dribble. And oh my God, Amber Heard was abusive. So therefore, all women. Okay? People who are abused have a higher chance of abusing others without help to prevent it. I mean, not always, but, I think that's why we need to have better access to mental health care, especially for victims. Make it affordable, make it to where people can actually get the help they need, right? And also, if you are, essayed, raped, whatever, abused in some way, there are, if you talk to a victim's advocate, there are usually resources that can help you get trauma therapy or therapy in general. There are so many women like that. The pastor at the church I was taken to as a kid had his wife go up on stage and tell all the ladies that marital rape isn't real. Wow. Ain't that some bullshit? So what, you get married so you no longer have a right to your own body? No. No, and this would be another example of why I'm not a Christian. Because no, I will never submit. It's just never gonna happen. I don't even understand that. I mean, the year is 2021. Just saying. That's the narrative. Small town Alabama. Sucks like that. Wow. How you dress makes somebody else unable to control themselves. Yeah, right. I mean, I was in big, huge sweatpants and a big, huge t-shirt. It doesn't fucking matter what you're wearing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. But that's that European bullshit, man. That's why part of me wishes I could just go to the res, go out in the middle of nowhere, and just no mas. You build a traditional Cherokee longhouse and be happy with it. So, an indigenous woman wore moccasins and a ribbon skirt to be sworn in to one of the highest offices in the federal government. And I saw this in my lifetime. I'm still kind of stunned by that. I think that might be why I did this video today, because I was like, fuck it. Anything can happen. We have a woman of color vice president? Like, an indigenous woman in moccasins and a ribbon skirt? What? It's time to go for it. It's a big deal. That was a big deal. She's an indigenous woman in regalia. That's a big deal, dude. I don't think most people understand. So, yeah. I might do Sci-Fi Sunday tomorrow. After this one. Because the book I'm going to talk about is kind of heavy too, and it's a lot for me in one night. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, I think this went well. Better than I thought it would. There were no trolls, so that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of amazing, the people who are getting into office now. Trans women, indigenous women, you know. A woman vice president, finally. It's about time. Maybe in my lifetime I'll see a woman president. Now maybe it could happen. Who knows? I mean, if Trump could become president, then it's 4 years I can never get back. Sarah McBride, right on. I'm expecting Marcus and baby girl to come back home at some point. Is that them? Yes, that's them. Okay. Alright, so can my cat. Your cat would do a better job, okay? Way better. Jesus. I'm just saying. I'm wondering how tall exactly this window is, because it's freaking huge. But, you know, I wouldn't mind having a cat for president. Actually. Might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I think we need an extreme example of what we should do coming up. I'm just saying. Thank you. Hey, baby girl. Hey, babe. Hi. Yeah. I just did the... Oh! can. Might as well be in the house. I just did a, yeah. I just did the, essay apologist one. Yeah. Ooh, pancakes. Okay. Yeah, I think I've just been paged. Thank y'all for being here and for the support. I really appreciate it. Anyone who watches the replay, please like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Unless you're a rape apologist, then you can just fuck off. Wait. What? Do you want to say hi? Hello! Again, yes. Pancakes. Yummy. I'm going to eat them. Do the what thing? Oh, you have the right to say no at any point. And if your no is not respected, snip, snip, motherfucker.
Bye, Felicia. Eat them into the sun.
Yes, that exactly. That was a good one.
Thank you.
We may have to, take a snippet of that and put it on the end of videos.
Somebody clip that.
Oh, Leanne says hi.
Hi, Leanne.
Dear Amp Waves. We have to figure out how to unhide. I don't think they're.
It's somewhere in the settings. I'll have to mess with it later.
Right on. Is the pit of Sarlacc for them? Or was it the pit of the bog of eternal stench? Yeah, that too. Right on. Alright, y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. I will be doing Sci-Fi Sunday on Monday. Because yeah, I'm gonna go cuddle and eat. I'll see y'all later. Have a good night.
Bye.
Be safe. Bye.